Excellent. Welcome everyone to Brain Northwest's programming today. We are have a lovely class today with our Jessica Shirley on understanding carbohydrates, doing a bit of a deep dive on this food group, which is really helpful. Jessica has a Master's of Science in Human Performance. She's a certified health education specialist and health coach. So she has rich knowledge and lived experience in supporting people in finding personalized ways to increase their well-being through movement and food and awareness. So Jessica, thank you for being here. It's always a treat. I always learn so much. Thank you all for attending and let's begin.
Thank you so much, Reggie. And if you were with us a couple of months ago, we did protein. Today's carbohydrates, and next month we'll do fat. So we're going to just tackle all the macronutrients. And thank you all for joining. Understanding carbohydrates, fuel, fiber, and food choices. You will hear me interchange carbohydrates and carbs throughout. It's just a habit, so just be aware. It's all the same thing. Well, let's get started. All right, before we dive into carbohydrates, what is a macronutrient? So, macronutrients are essential nutrients your body requires in large quantities daily to provide energy, promote growth, and regulate bodily functions. And as I mentioned in the intro, there are three main macronutrients needed by your body: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So when you hear somebody say, I got to calculate my macros, that's all they mean is calculating their carbs, proteins, and fats percentages of their daily consumption. Okay. We have micronutrients as well, which we could do a whole nother class on, but that's going to be your vitamins and your minerals. So these are macronutrients, larger molecules, higher energy sources, and we can get as deeper as we go on. Okay. So what is a carbohydrate? Carbohydrates are one of the body's main source of energy. This is our main source of fuel. It is a macronutrient made of sugar molecules. And during digestion, many carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which is a form of sugar your body can use for energy. Carbohydrates are going to include sugars, starches, and fibers. So that means, yes, potatoes are a carbohydrate and not considered your vegetable. Examples of carbohydrates are fruit, because there's natural sugars, bread, rice, beans, milk, other grains, vegetables, all contain different types of carbohydrates, variations of the sugars, starches, and fibers. What do carbohydrates actually do? The body breaks many carbohydrates down into glucose, also known as blood sugar. Okay. Glucose is used for energy for cells, tissues, and organs, fuel for the brain, fuel for muscles during movement and exercise, and stored energy in the liver and muscles for later use. And I can't help myself but add these little tidbits in here. Fuel for muscles during movement and exercise. So here's a tip. If you if your goal is fat loss, then you're going to want to do your strength training first. Use your carb stores, your blood sugar stores during the muscle training, and then finish your workout. Of course, warm up first, then finish your workout with your cardio. Then, by that point in the workout, your body is going to have used all your glucose, and then it's going to go to your fat stores for energy. So, if your goal, carbs are never bad. There's ways to work with them. That's kind of part of the lesson today. Is just there's ways to navigate them into your diet and make good choices. But yeah, do your cardio at the end of your muscle strength training and get a little extra boost if you're looking for weight loss. Okay, good carbs. Carbohydrates are an important part of healthy eating pattern. The goal is not to avoid them, it's to choose higher quality carbohydrate foods most of the time. Of course, we can have treats, right? Better choices usually contain other ingredients besides just sugar. So it's going to be fiber, vitamins, minerals, hydration, water, and then any other nutrients that will support your health. Okay, so we've got main types of carbohydrates. As we mentioned earlier, sugars is the simplest form. Okay, so that's going to be found in fruit, milk, or if it's added to your food or drinks, your added sugars. And that literally like honey, maple, which are, if you're going to have to choose extra sugar, I would choose that over processed cane sugar and high fructose corn syrup. But natural sugars are the best. And then we have starches. These are going to be your complex carbohydrates. We're going to get to that in a second. So they're made of many sugar molecules linked together. So they're a little bit harder for your body to break down, and that's a good thing. Okay, that is a good thing. And then fiber is a type of carbohydrate found in plant foods, and the body cannot fully digest it, but it supports health and digestive and helps basically keep that colon clean. You know? So most healthy carbohydrates are going to have combinations of these components. Now let's dig in. This is probably what many of you have heard before, simple carbs, complex carbs, right? So simple versus complex. Digging a little deeper here. Simple carbohydrates are sugars. They are called simple because they are made of smaller sugar units. Because of this, the body can usually break them down quickly for energy. Simple carbs can be found naturally occurring, such as in fruit, milk, or plain yogurt. Not that added fruity flavor, because then they're going to add sugars into it. Or they can be added sugars, such as soda, candy, cookies, sweetened soft drinks, sweetened cereals, sweetened yogurts, and such. Complex carbohydrates are the ones that we want to have the most of if it's not going to be naturally occurring like fruit. Okay, so complex carbohydrates are going to include starches and fiber. They are complex because they are made of longer chains of sugar molecules. The body usually takes longer to break them down, especially when the food also contains fiber. Examples include brown rice, quinoa, oats, whole grain breads, beans, lentils, peas, sweet potatoes, and even regular potatoes are still a complex carbohydrate. So these are the types that we're going to try to shoot for more complex carbs. That is the goal. And a note on the simple carbs, quick energy, quick drop. Okay, so simple carbohydrates can provide quick energy, and this can be useful at times when someone needs fuel fast. I'm hypoglycemic, so there are occasions if I go too long without, and ADHD, so if I forget to eat, and sometimes that's a thing, then I might grab a glass of fruit juice or something that's going to get there quickly and then go choose something more complex and healthy. But so this can be useful. However, highly processed simple carbs and added sugars may digest quickly, raise blood sugar quickly, and leave someone feeling hungry or tired again soon after. So they're not really there for our go-to nutrition. And an important note, they're not all the same. Fruit and milk contain natural sugars, but they also provide nutrients, vitamins, minerals, protein, and water, even some fiber. But a soda does not. So you see the difference, even though they both might be simple carbs, you would want to choose whole 100% fruit juice or milk or an apple versus a soda or sweet tea or something like that. Okay. How much should we be consuming? So the recommended daily allowance for carbohydrates is about 130 grams per most adults. But we know this is a baseline amount. It's not a perfect target for everyone. Everybody is different. So you would want to, so because it's going to be based on activity level, your overall caloric need, your size, your health goals. Pregnancy or lactation is a completely different need, have completely different needs, medical conditions, or athletic training demands. So for most adult, it should be discussed as a percentage of your daily intake. 45 to 65% of your daily calories should come from carbohydrates. And, personally, I just use about half as a good goal. About half of your daily intake should be from predominantly complex carbohydrates. Best carbohydrate sources. So you want to choose the more nutrient dense carbohydrate foods such as berries, apples, oranges, bananas, leafy greens, broccoli, carrots, peppers. We have sweet potatoes, corns, and peas. Again, corn and peas. Again, corn, potatoes are not vegetables. They're not considered your veggies. I mean, it's technically, but when you're doing your macros, you have to count them as your carbohydrates. Beans, lentils, and chickpeas. So they're a wonderful source of both carbohydrates and proteins. I really love beans, lentils, chickpeas, and such legumes. Brown rice, quinoa, oats, and barley, whole grain bread, and make sure you read the labels because whole wheat is definitely different than wheat. Okay, read those nutrition labels, and the less ingredients, the better in anything, but definitely in your breads. Um, Pasta, tortillas, and then plain milk or yogurt. So look for carbs that bring something with them: fiber, vitamins, minerals, protein, or water. Carbs to limit. So we're going to limit highly processed carbohydrate foods, especially those high in added sugars or refined grains. Okay. So examples would be soda and sweet tea, candy, cookies, cakes, pastries, sugary breakfast cereals, white bread and refined crackers, chips, snack cakes, sweetened coffee drinks, and fruit drinks that are not 100% juice. These foods can have you can have a treat here every now and then, but try not to let them make up a big part of your diet because they really don't offer a lot of nutrients. So it's just flushes through your body pretty quickly without providing the nutritional content. Carbs as part of your plate. A balanced meal should include this little picture here is great. So you want about half your plate of fruits and veggies. Just fill up half that plate every day. And then you're going to have a quarter with whole grains or some kind of starchy vegetable, rice, potatoes, quinoa, even polenta. And then the other fourth, you can have your protein, uh, fish, chicken, or tofu, whatever your dietary needs are. You can add in dairy or fortified soy if needed, and then choose water or unsweetened drinks for the most part. And this is going to help you stay on task with your macronutrients and your micronutrients if you do this. It keeps carbohydrates in balance with protein, fat, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Okay. How to include more of the good carbs. So it's just some tips. Try simple swaps. You're going to choose whole fruit instead of juice. Although, I mean, juice is okay sometimes, but it is still high in sugar, especially if it's not 100% juice. Now, if you juice it yourself, go for it. That's even better, right? Add beans or lentils to soups, salads, or tacos. You could choose brown rice or quinoa instead of white rice sometimes. Add berries or bananas to yogurt. A banana is a great source of carbohydrates too, as well. It's lots of vitamins and potassium and electrolytes in there, which we were talking about last month. Use whole grain bread or tortillas. Add vegetables to your eggs, pasta, wraps, or leftovers. Keep roasted potatoes or sweet potatoes prepped in your refrigerator that you can add to meals. Maybe make your sweet potato bowls, things like that. You can also pair carbohydrates with proteins, fat, or fiber for more balanced energy, like apple and peanut butter, yogurt and berries, rice and beans, add it with a few vegetables, whole grain toast and eggs, or even avocado, potato, Greek yogurt, and vegetables. And you could use the plain Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. It can provide a little bit more protein in there. So these are just some ways to kind of incorporate more of the good carbs into your diet. And that is, I know it's kind of a lot fast, but that was the information today. So I had just had some reflection questions, and then of course we'll have time for question and answer. What carbohydrate foods do you already eat regularly? And you can either think or share or type into the chat box. What is one higher fiber carb you could add this week? And what is one refined or sugary carb that you could swap out sometimes? Something might be a guilty pleasure you really love, but when you could make a swap once a week or once a month.
Love this. I'll pause the recording and people can dive in.